Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all keeping well. Now this is going to be another video review of, we've been doing the Hammer House of Horror 1980 TV series. Now I'm up to the sixth installment now, guys, and this is a story called Charlie Boy. There's the main protagonist of the episode. Before I say anything further, I'll just read you the blurb at the back and I'll just talk a little bit more about the episode and give you my thoughts on it as a whole. Okay, so so as I say, this is part 6 in Hammer House of Horror Charlie Boy. Death stalks 6 people when a curse is placed on them by the new owner of a Central African fetish, a small but valuable and menacing figure found among an inherited collection of primitive art. So there's the synopsis, guys, of Charlie Boy. I watched this episode last night. Very, very enjoyable episode and a very, very memorable episode as well. Again, it starts off with a bang. You've got this elderly guy on the roof. I think he's fixing an area or something on the roof. Now, he turns out to be the uncle of the main protagonist. So he's got in his possession, he's got a lot of African artifacts and that. And amongst those artifacts is this African fetish doll, who is later christened Charlie Boy by the, the main guy and his girl. Yeah, so he's on the roof, as I say, he's doing a job on the roof, and all of a sudden he slips and he falls to his death. And of course, his wife's shocked in that, she's visibly shocked in that. So that it opens that, so that opens the episode. So then we move on to the guy's his nephew, Charlie, his nephew Graham, played by Lee Lawson, and his Graham's girlfriend is played by Angela Bruce, who you might remember from Coronation Street and Doctor Who. Yeah, so he takes over his uncle's possessions and that, all the artifacts and that, and he find the African fetish doll, and then they christen Charlie Boy. So basically, it's got a curse on it, this doll, and Graham's he was supposed to be complete a business partnership, with his cousin, but his cousin reneges on the agreements and that, so that annoys Graham. So before he puts the curse on his his cousin. He also there's this driver and that in the countryside and that, and he's like a dangerous driver and that, and he's sort of like he was hassling Graham and his girlfriend in the car and that. So Graham's got this photo of them all posing in the garden and that, and he's got the doll and that, Charlie Boy, and he puts he's angry in that, so he puts a curse on this dangerous driver, and he dies in that, he gets knifed in the stomach and that. And then what happens is basically everybody in the photo, what Graham has, he puts a curse on one or two of them, and they all meet a horrible end, the horrible death. And but then it goes out of control because as Graham begins to realise when he curses them, like the deaths are actually coming true, and his girlfriend starts to become a little bit, upset and that over it. He goes to this sort of like antique dealer, and he tries to sort of like basically trying to get advice on trying to undo the curse of Charlie Boy, but it's too late. And of course, so that's basically the story, guys, of Charlie Boy. Very, 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 very enjoyable episode, yeah, and as I say, one of the most memorable ones in that. But as I say, Graham having the photograph of the people and that, he inadvertently the curse goes out of control and that, so all the people in the photograph, the curse spreads to him and his girl and that. So when these first few people have met horrible deaths, his girl's next in line, and then it's him himself, yeah. So that's why he goes to the antique dealer to try and undo the curse, but of course it's too late and that, yeah. Very quite a few memorable scenes in this episode, guys. There's one scene in it that made me smile. Graham does this sort of like impersonation of Humphrey Bogart, okay, Blue Eyes and all that. Yeah, so so he, as I say, that was quite funny, and that made me smile and that. But then after that, guys, most of all the other scenes are not so funny, because as I say, there's some very, very gruesome deaths in this Charlie Boy, and in many ways it's I don't know if any of you've seen the the Karen Black movie, Trilogy of Terror, that was made in the 70s and that. There's a doll on that. It's actually in the second Trilogy of Terror as well. It's an African Zulu warrior, and it goes on the rampage and that, it chases Karen Black all over the apartment and eventually takes it over. It's a cracking episode. The only difference being between Charlie Boy and that warrior was Charlie Boy didn't come alive. He didn't actually come alive and chase people with a spear. He was sort of like he just exuded an air of malevolence and menace via channel of his curse and that. Yeah, but it did remind me of the Zulu warrior doll in Trilogy of Terror. Yeah, and but yeah, very very enjoyable episode and that, one of the best in the series, Charlie Boy, and it all deals with curses and that, and people's people's artifacts, what they've amassed and that, yeah. And there's some truth in this story, guys, because I've read quite a few stories of objects being cursed and that. Robert the Doll, Annabelle, and it plays very much along the lines of cursed objects and that. And when this Charlie Boy's cursed, it goes out of control. There's no stopping it and that, And this is Charlie Boy's one of the bloodiest episodes in the series and that. As I say, some of the deaths are pretty gruesome and that, and but yeah, you really feel for the main guy, the main protagonist. He tries to undo the curse of Charlie Boy, but it's basically but I won't give away any more about it, but I highly recommend Charlie Boy. Yeah, it's a fantastic episode of the Hammer House of Horror. There's the main protagonist, guys. Yeah, so Lee Lawson, very well acted, good solid storyline. The doll's really creepy, and you don't know what's going to happen next. Who's going to die next and that. And but yeah, it's both Lee Lawson and Angela Bruce are really on the money, playing this young couple, and this doll and that, that comes, this sort of like inherited, from his uncle and that, and it just basically wreaks havoc with the life and that, yeah. But oh yeah, very very enjoyable episode, Charlie Boy, yeah. But I said there's no getting away. Once the first few people are killed in the photograph and that, there's no getting away. There's no escaping. Once the doll sets its eyes on him and his girl, well, basically all hell breaks loose and that, yeah. It's unleashed a right can of worms and that, right Pandora's box, when he sort of like started messing around with this Charlie Boy. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, that's it. Yeah. Have you seen Charlie Boy? What did you think of it? What do you think of all the other episodes of the Hammer House of Horror in general? I very much like to know. Leave your comments down below. Yeah. Oh, this is a fantastic series, this, guys. Yeah, it really is. And Charlie Boy, one of the most memorable episodes, I've ever watched of the Hammer House of Horror. First screened on Saturday, the 18th of October, 1980. I remember it well. I remember it watching it. Oh yeah, I was absolutely blown away by how good the story was. Yeah, truly one of the best episodes in the whole Hammer House of Horror series. Yeah, very very enjoyable episode. Yeah, and as I say, very very gripping. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's it. That concludes my review of episode 6 of the Hammer House of Horror, Charlie Boy. I will be back very very soon with my review of episode 7. Another fantastic episode starring the late great Peter Cushing, and that will be The Silence Scream. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks.